Good afternoon. It must be noon. Your tummy's telling you that, or it's time to eat. So we'll begin this afternoon. Welcome, A Journey of Faith. Each journey begins with a destination or a goal. A journey could be the planning of a family vacation, an afternoon ramble, or a mission trip to Peru. It could be the birth of a new family member, the pursuit of higher education, the founding of a new business, or maybe it's chasing a dream or a career, seeking recovery from ill health, or a quest for safety and contentment. Thank you for being here today. I'm Jo Reister. I'm a member of the Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest Board of Directors. I delight in making connections and serving with gladness, so LSS is the perfect spot for me. Back in the 90s, I represented my congregation with Lutheran Social Ministry of the Southwest, as it was called back then. And I reconnected with Lutheran Social Services in 2019 when my friend Jan invited me to a come and see tour. I was inspired to become more involved and hosted my own come and see tour, joined the board, and became a Creating Community Society member. As part of the advocacy committee, I learned to speak for those whose voice is often overlooked, and I worked to address the needs of housing, hunger, and refuge. Through the LSS Philanthropy Committee, it is a joy to learn of the many, many ways and the generous souls who are investing their resources and incorporating the work of LSS into their life journeys. And one of my favorite assignments, the community engagement team, uses my spiritual gift of encouraging to encourage others to join in the journey of LSS. Life journeys can be big or small, sometimes trivial, other times life-changing. Our journeys often parallel those of our LSS neighbors. They may involve difficult sacrifices for future generations, disability detours, empty tanks of new normal aging, traffic delays and route changes as budgets are stretched to pay the bills. Each journey begins with hope and faith, and with your support, LSS brings hope. Why do I serve? Often it's because of families like the Tombas. When I was privileged to help set up an apartment for a family arriving from the Congo, following their years of waiting in a refugee camp, I had no idea what I would do in their situation. Family and friends threatened by violent rebels, unstable governments, and scarce resources. It was a joy to arrange their kitchen with giant pots and dinnerware and to envision them gathered around their kitchen table sharing a meal. I prayed over the beds, fresh with clean linens, and hoping that their nights could be peaceful and renewing. You'll be meeting some of these refugees today as we journey together in easing their burden. While it was overwhelming to think about being in their situation, I knew that I could share gifts that I have, as I appreciate the comfort and abundance of my own life. Each night, snug in my comfy bed for the last several years now, I give thanks to the Lord for my home, that as an older lady, my worries are not about bombs outside my windows, fleeing for my family's safety, or abandoning longtime friends. I give thanks that my shelter and health is stable, and my dietary needs are more than met with a little request to the Lord to rein that in a bit. I have enough and more. Today, we will share stories where LSS stabilizes, builds, and preserves with your partnership. While LSS has different ministries throughout the state, Southern Arizona programs for focus on Southern Arizona needs, caring for older adults and people with disabilities, and welcoming refugees. It has been my honor to work with these programs in a variety of ways, collecting Christmas gifts for older adults, easily logging 10,000 steps, furnishing an upstairs apartment. See, you don't need a health club membership when you work with us. Many hands are needed. My favorite adage is, the Lord provides enough for all if the gifts are shared. This afternoon, we want to thank our headline sponsor, Benjamin Supply, along with more thank yous to our legacy sponsors, Dignity Health, USI, CopperPoint, and Enterprise, and more sponsors listed in the program. Thank you so much for making today possible. And to our guests gathered here today, thank you for your gift of time with us. When today's program ends, it's our hope that you'll be energized and inspired to share the gifts with which you've been blessed. And now, please welcome to the stage Rosine Kamagishu.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Rosine Kamjisha. I work as a communication specialist at Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest. I was born in Rwanda and I am a genocide survivor. I had the opportunity to move to the United States in 2018 for education opportunities. This activity is a chance for you to experience in a very limited way how you may feel if you were forced to flee from your home. That is the reality for many refugees coming to Tucson. As we go through the simulation, please follow the instructions to the best of your ability. If you get confused or finding it really difficult to think about this topic, it's just okay to sit back and listen quietly. You should have been provided a packet which reads, Fleeing Home Activity, with a yellow and blue piece of paper. Please take the packet and place the two colored pieces of paper in front of you. The yellow sheet represents your loved ones, and the blue sheet are your personal belongings. Let's begin. Imagine you live in a big house and all of your loved ones, friends, family, people from other states, all the people and things most important in your life are there with you. It's midnight and you are sleeping soundly in your home when you awake to the sound of a gunfire. You awaken terrified with only moments to react. You will have 60 seconds to fill out the list of the two papers in front of you. On the yellow piece of paper, write down the names of your loved ones. On the blue piece of paper, write down important belongings that you would grab. It's a short time, but that's the reality. Your 60 seconds start now. time's up. Please stop writing. You must live with what you have. You run out of your house. You realize you dropped something, but you can't turn around to get it. Cross off number 3 on your blue sheet of paper. You no longer have that item. You walk all night, and by morning, you make it to a safe place. You realize someone is missing. Cross off number 2 on your yellow paper. That person is no longer with you. You have to move on to keep everyone else safe. You walk to the country border where you ask for asylum. They take you to a camp where you apply as a refugee. As you wait, 5 years pass by in a camp, and one of your loved ones gets sick and dies from unsafe drinking water. Cross off number 5 on your yellow sheet of paper. That person is no longer with you. In the refugee camp, you cannot work, but you still need to support your family. You must sell anything of value. Look at your blue paper. Cross off all the items that represent money or sellable items. Finally, after 6 years, you are approved for resettlement in the United States. You are very fortunate. Any names that are not your legal spouse or children under 18, cross them off. They are not approved to join you. You board the plane, and after 24 hours of travel, you arrive in Arizona. Now look on your 2 papers. What do you have left? Who have you left behind? I remember when this happened to me when I was a little girl. Everyone was numb of fear, including grown-ups. Even pets were so scared. Our only hope was a heavy rain, because that's the only time they would stop killing, or working as they called it. As we left, we loaded into a tiny car that had only room for 5 people. And my family had 8 people. And that is because the bigger car had been traded for our lives. So Dad had to make a very difficult decision. He told my brothers to walk on foot. So my mom and sisters could fit in the car. I remember those lost during the genocide. Some families were entirely wiped out, which means nobody to tell the story like this one I'm telling right now. So working with people in need, working with refugees helps me honor the lives of people I lost, living the life that they were robbed of, and helps me in my healing. Thank you all. And now, Pastor Barbara will lead in prayer.
Thank you, Rosine. That was a very powerful experience. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the life you have gifted us as your children. We thank you for your most generous love bestowed upon us. Encourage us to be persons of honesty and integrity, worthy of proclaiming the gospel in this sacred ministry to the least and the lost. Give us openness to listen to the needs of those we serve, joyful spirits and an eagerness to engage others. Give us hopeful imagination and creative vision, recognizing generosity in even the smallest gift. Give us strong, steadfast hearts in times of discouragement and trusting hearts, knowing that the fruits of labors will be realized long after we are gone. Give us faithful hearts, deeply committed to your kingdom. Let us always feel your presence so that we know we are never truly alone in this ministry, nor in our living. Remind us that what we do for the least of our sisters and brothers, we do for you. And lastly, we thank you for the food we are about to receive in the hands that have prepared it. Bless it to our use and us to your service. In your name we pray. Amen. I think that means we can eat.
Am I live? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Connie Phillips. I'm the president and CEO of Lutheran Social Services. We're so glad to be here with you. I am from Phoenix, so I'm so glad to be here in Tucson sharing this afternoon with you. If you are eating, please continue to eat your lunch. We are going to go ahead and get started with our program. It's an honor to welcome you today and to spend this time, as I said, and how fun to be able to recognize people with your new ribbons. You'll notice that some people have more ribbons than others. I seem to have lost half of mine again. But you'll notice that there are some milestone ribbons that are on some people's name tags. And those milestone ribbons are new. That's something we've just started a couple years ago. We're recognizing people who have been financial partners with us for milestone years, so 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. And we have several folks that have reached that 20 plus year mark. And what an honor. I am so grateful for those of you who have been walking this journey with us for so long, because you're a part of every story that you're going to hear today. You know, I have spent my career walking a few steps with people on their journeys. Many of those folks have had their lives take some turns they had not anticipated, and they don't have family or community to be able to just be able to turn to. And I'm so grateful that God has brought me here to Lutheran Social Services, because this is a place where I can work with others to proclaim God's love to all of those who are finding difficulty on their journey. Like many of you, I know that life does take those twists and turns that we don't expect. As a child, I moved every 2 or 3 years, sometimes to places I had never heard of. And those moves could bring great joy, wonderful new friendships, great opportunities, or they could bring sadness and loneliness and times when I didn't fit in. And I welcomed the news when my dad would say it was time to move again. But once I got to college in Arizona, I decided to stay, and I have stayed put since. But I discovered that that is not the only thing, moving, that takes us in and out of different phases. Recently, I had the privilege of walking the journey of end of life with my parents. Both of them recently passed. It was a bittersweet time of love and of loss. And I also had the great opportunity to experience firsthand the ministry of caregiving. What a blessing a direct care worker is as they come into a home and welcome and walk alongside those that are in need. The mission of Lutheran Social Services is to stabilize people during times of crisis, to build a foundation where people can thrive, and to preserve dignity and respect for our most vulnerable neighbors. And who are our neighbors? And what's mine to do? Well, that got answered a long time ago with the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan was on a journey, and so was the person who was injured. The Samaritan was able to see that his journey and that of the man who was injured intersected. He could have hurried on, like the others. He could have gone on his way. But he realized that this was a holy moment. This was a moment where he could make a difference, and he did what was his to do. Lutheran Social Services has been a part of so many journeys over the last 53 years and has impacted tens of thousands of people during that time. We've welcomed, accompanied, and worked for justice for our neighbors. We welcome people who arrive as refugees, under humanitarian parole, and as asylum seekers. And that welcome, so many people have told me what it meant to them when they came off the plane at the Tucson airport and found waiting for them a group of enthusiastic, welcoming members of a church group or a case manager who spoke their own language. And I know, as I said, the personal relief, that there occurs when there's a welcome of a direct care worker as they enter the home to touch the life of a loved one. We do more than welcome, though. We also accompany our new neighbors and our older adults as they continue their journeys. It's holy work. It's work of compassion and encouragement and friendship. And the need is great, but it is something that an individual can truly make a difference in engaging with. LSS is at a difficult time right now. We're being asked to respond to two critical needs. There's more older adults in need of home care than there are workers to help them. And secondly, there are more refugees ready to travel to the United States for resettlement than the resettlement organizations across the country are able to take. Now, on the first one, in order to care for more adults, we have got to increase our capacity to recruit and engage and retain direct care workers, as well as develop our volunteer programs to supplement that care. And the situation with refugees is occurring because the current administration has committed to bringing over 125,000 refugees into the country before the election, knowing that there's a possibility that that window could close. And I say that not as a political statement. Please don't hear it that way. It's simply a fact. We know that the priority of the previous administration was not refugee resettlement. And so this current administration has made the commitment to try to bring as many people as they possibly can into the country while there's an opportunity. And these are people who have vetted and have been waiting for years. They're prioritizing people who have been spending years in refugee camps waiting to come. This year, we had already agreed to double the number of refugees that we'll receive here in Tucson from the previous year. But we're being asked to stretch even more. Can we take 10, 15, 20% more? Another 50, 75, another 100 people. And this is coming at a time when we're already stretched. So as we consider solutions, we know that it's going to take more. It's going to take more staffing, more money for startup rent and expenses, more infrastructure. We have a gap between what we want to do and what we can do. It's a capacity gap. We could use more volunteers to help, but we need another volunteer coordinator to train them and support them. We need furniture, but we don't have a truck or space or the staff time to coordinate pickups. We need more co-sponsors, and we need more refugee youth mentors, but we have to have staff time to recruit them, to train them, and then be available to answer questions and respond to calls and problem solve as things come up, because they do. And we have to talk to our policymakers to educate them about the value of refugee resettlement and the needs and the solutions for our older adults. A full-time advocacy team member could build relationships at the federal, state, and the local level. I have said this at every one of our luncheons. The solutions to the needs are not hard. They're not hard. We know what to do. It's a matter of capacity and priority. And I'm being really honest with you today, because what we need most is additional operating support. This would allow us to attract the workforce that's needed: direct care workers, volunteer coordinators, finance staff, and an advocacy team member. Additionally, we need the ability to pay higher startup costs, startup rents, and increased food and household expenses. It's taking more financial support than it used to get refugees up on their feet. And the amount we receive through the federal refugee resettlement program has not increased despite the significant inflation over the last couple of years. Like the work that was done during the Afghanistan evacuation, it's going to take all of us stretching and working hard to respond to these humanitarian opportunities. And it is hard. It's a work of faith. It's what we're called to do. The thing about journeys is that we can't see over the next horizon. We don't know what's going to happen or who we're going to meet on our way there or what exactly the resources will be. We can't see it. But you know what my mom taught me? She taught me that God is in the future, that I don't have to be afraid of going there because that's where God is already ahead of me. We move in the direction toward which we are led in faith, knowing that we don't walk alone, knowing it's the right thing to do, knowing that it's what we're called to do. And I will ask you today, I will tell you that I'm willing to step out, and I'll ask you today if you're willing to join me. I'd like now for you to turn your attention to our video, where you're going to hear from 3 of the neighbors whose journeys we have shared.
My name is Manga Erasto Aochimfaume. Yeah, and my wife is Mwamini Erasto Manga. We are in Tucson, Arizona, USA. We have 6 children, 2 boys and 4 girls. My family is everything to me and my hope and my future. I was born in Democratic Republic of Congo, but I left the country when I was 11 years old, and I've been in Tanzania and in the refugee camp for 20 years, and we lived a very bad life. When I remember this, I can cry. I didn't expect anything for the future in the refugee camp. Living without hope is something which is not good for people. We started the process to U.S. immigration. It was a very long process. It took almost 4 years. With the prayer of many people, God helped us to be in U.S. When we arrived, we got many people helping us. Lutheran Social Services welcomed us. Through them, we got our friends, whom I call dad and moms. I think God prepared them for us.
This is an amazing family, incredible. The kids tell me I'm their grandma. I'm okay with it. You know, I asked Erasto very shortly after he arrived, I said, what is the single most thing about this country that stands out to you? And he said, here, I am safe and my family is safe. And that was huge.
Watching this family change, get settled into this country, learn how to use a grocery store, learn how to drive. It's just been an amazing experience. I would urge anybody in the community to be a part of this refugee program because together we can really make a difference for all of these families.
I think in US my kids can study very well and have some level of education. That's why we are very excited to be in US. Without love, we couldn't do anything. They love me and I love them. They help me and I will love others and I will help others.
My name is Jose. I live in Nogales, Arizona for 45 years. I went to Nogales High School. I like to play sport like football, track. Running was my whole life, and we did well. In '92, I used to play with my nieces, like in a little pool. But these were telling me, throw a die, and they were laughing and everything. And something happened, and water was almost to my head. I broke my C5, and I couldn't breathe. In that moment, I didn't feel nothing. I thought it was a simple accident. When I had the accident, it turned my life around. I was paralyzed. I was like, they told me like a vegetable because I couldn't move.
My name is Vanessa Torres and I'm the home care supervisor here in Nogales for Lutheran Social Services. We do aging and disability. Aging and disability provides attendant care, housekeeping, companion care, respite. We can run errands for them. And we run into different types of situations. Jose came into Lutheran back in 2012. It was challenging because he's a quadriplegic. He needs to be up from bed with a Hoyer lift and then make sure that he doesn't have bed sores since he's in bed most of the time or in a wheelchair.
Yo soy María Leal.
Hi, my name is Maria, Jose's ex-wife and caregiver. I have been doing this for the last 27 years. When I started, it was very difficult because besides the sadness and going through all this life change, I hurt my back. I didn't have the resources or the equipment to help them.
When they started,
I was desperate because I needed the help. And I looked for Lutheran Social Services and they gave me the proper training. And I feel happy because they always been patient with me, professional with me, and gave me the resources and the help that I needed.
Maria knows me since we got married, and she does a good job. When she comes, she cleans my wounds, then she put my clothes, then the sling.
It's lives we're dealing on a daily basis. We can't just ignore. We need to be constantly giving them quality of life, the best quality of life that they deserve with dignity and respect.
It's hard being paralyzed, but I never mad or sad enough. When I wake up, I pray first, and sometimes when my body's hurting, I try whistling or singing. I take it one day at a time.
My name is Ahmed. I'm from Afghanistan. I used to work with Associated Press in Afghanistan as a freelance photographer. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan, Taliban targeted lots of journalists. One of my co-workers, his name is Shamarai Faizi, he used to work with France Press. Unfortunately, he was one of the people killed by Taliban. Everyone's tried to find a way to get out from Afghanistan because it's not safe anymore.
My name is Mukadesa Muftic, and I'm employment supervisor with Lutheran Social Service Refugee Office. I came in United States as a refugee from Bosnia. I was in a refugee shoes. I still remember the day when I left my home, and I still remember I'm holding my two small kids, and I ask myself, please, God, help me where I'm going. East, west, south, north, no clue. And I really try to do my best to work with refugees, and I feel they're very close to me.
When I arrive in Tucson International Airport, I see staff from LSS, and I was excited. Someone coming and supporting me,
I remember when I met Ahmed first time, I can see fear in his eyes. But day by day, he was more happy, and he saw that LSS is here for him.
Lutheran Social Service helped me a lot. They find a job for me. I was able to buy a car, and I registered to Pima Community College. I started learning English. I was thinking about continue my passion in United States as a photojournalist. So Lutheran connected me to a journalist, and he bought a camera for me. I was super excited about that, so I was so happy. And I get internship to work with Daily Star newspaper. I see my pictures in the paper, so I was so excited about that. They helped me, and now I am able to help the new arrival. We have an Afghan community here. In my days off, when the new arrival coming in United States, I just help them. They are very happy.
I believe it's a gift from God to work in a refugee program and work with people in need.
I really appreciate first from United States, I'm grateful, and also from Lutheran Social Services for everything.
Hello, my name is Jolie. I'm 23 years old. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to share my story in my native language of Kinyarwanda. Dina will translate my remarks. Nahunze Republiki Iharanira Demokarasi ya Kongo, igihugu nkomokamo, mu mwaka w'ibihumbi 2001. Kubera intambara ziri hagati y'imiryango migari ndetse n'abashakishiza habo, ikaba ari intambara imaze imyaka myinshi. Papa yishwe mfite imyaka 9 gusa. Mama afata icyemezo kitoroshye cyo guhunga tujya mu nkambi y'impunzi ya Kiziba mu Rwanda. Kubera imivurugutanyo muri iyo nzira imivugutanyo guhunga, mama aricwa. Yishwe, abo twahunganye banyereka aho bamutsinze. Nta kundi byari kugenda, dukomezana n'abandi tujya mu nkambi y'impunzi mu Rwanda.
I fled the Democratic Republic of Congo, my home country, in 2001 due to persecutions. The war that has been ongoing for years is a result of tribal rebellions and the pursuit of gold. I was only 9 when my dad was killed and my mom made the heartbreaking decision to leave our home, maybe forever. Not knowing what would happen to my family we had to leave behind, I started walking on foot to a refugee camp called Kiziba in Rwanda. Amidst the chaos and violence of the crowd, I got separated from my mom. Mercifully, I was spared the sight of her mother, but not the sight of her lifeless body. For my own safety, I kept walking.
Tweje kugera mu nkambi y'impunzi ya Kiziba mu Rwanda. Ushobora kwibwira ngo ubuzima bwari bumeze neza, oya. Ubuzima bwari bugoye cyane bwo mu nkambi, cyane cyane ku bana b'abakobwa ndetse n'abagore, kubera kubona ibyo kwambara, ibyo kurya byari bigoye cyane. Ndetse ubuzima bwo mu nkambi muri rusange buba bugoye.
Finally, after days of walking, we reached Kiziba camp. Would you think that because we reached the camp we were safe? No, it was just the beginning of my nightmare. I was lost and frustrated as I was alone in a new country. I had no one to take care of me, but some of the refugees helped me for the first couple days. Life in the camp was so hard, but it was more difficult and unsafe for little girls like me and women. I was struggling every single day. I wouldn't wish the camp experience on anyone, not even my worst enemy. We didn't have food, shoes, lotion, or clothes.
Nyuma y'imyaka itari mike numvisha amakuru ko abisengeneza banje Anne na Claudine bari mu nzira baza mu nkambi. Bamaze kuhagera, gusa numvishe nishimye cyane kubona abo mu muryango wanjye. Icyo nari nzi nuko ninjye nari ndi mukuru ngomba kubitaho. Nyuma y'igihe gito, kubera ubuzima bubi, abagabo baduhaga ibyo dukeneye kubera imibereho mibi. Umwisengeneza wanjye mukuru aza gutwita ku myaka 17 gusa, nanjye nyuma yaho nza gutwita.
After several years in the refugee camp, I received the news that miraculously my two nieces, Anne and Claudine, were alive and on their way to Kiziba. My older brother had been tragically killed, but for the first time, I had hope of being reunited with my blood relatives. It was a gift sent from heaven. Little did I know that we were gonna struggle because my nieces were younger than me, which means I was supposed to take care of them and be responsible while I was a child too. My nieces and I struggled every day. My older niece and I faced the impossible choices. We relied on adult men to meet our basic needs, and they want favors in return. My niece became pregnant at 17 and myself a few years later.
Twabaye mu nkambi y'impunzi imyaka irenga 20 mu buzima bugoye cyane. Gusa ikiza cyabayeho nuko twemerewe kuza gutura muri Amerika. Tugera muri Arizona, Lutheran Social Services batwakiriye neza, tubona n'abakesi manager bavuga ururimi rwacu twumva, batujyana mu nzu irimo ibiryo muri fridge, batumenyereza ubuzima bwo hano muri Tucson, batwerekera ibintu byose. Twahuye n'aba volunteers beza, aba case managers bavuga ururimi twumva. Muri make ubuzima bwari bworoshye. ku buryo n'ubu nagiye kwiga CNA mu myaka iri imbere, nifuza kwiga n'ubuganga. Abana bacu ntago bo bazahura n'ibibazo ibyo twahuye nabo kubera ko turi mu gihugu gifite amahoro n'umutekano.
We spent 20 years in that life, but let's get to the bright side of my story. My nieces and I were approved to come to the USA. It was a dream come true. When we arrived in Arizona, Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest welcomed us from the airport. There were even case managers who spoke our language. Then they took us into a fully furnished home with food in the refrigerator. For the first time since we fled the Congo, I had a home where I knew I was safe. Lutheran Social Services assisted us every step of the way, including arranging medical appointments, finding employment, and helping me adjust my new hometown, Tucson. I completed CNL school, and now I'm applying to nursing schools.
Thank you so much for your help. God bless you. Thank you for your support. And thank you for having welcome refugees like me in Tucson.
Thank you for those amazing stories, both the ones on video and the ones in person, deeply touching. I'm Reverend John D. Couts. I retired from Lord of Life Lutheran Church in Sun City West in 2013 and moved back to Tucson, where I'd been the Lutheran campus pastor at the U of A for 15 years. Go Wildcats. I'm sorry about last night, Southern Devil fans. As a Lutheran pastor, Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest has been a part of the fabric of my faith life in many settings. My connection in Arizona goes back to 1986 when I arrived here. You may remember Lutheran Social Services had one staff person, Reverend Merle Carlson, working out of a house at Our Savior's. Now, what an amazing transition. We have over 320 workers and volunteers in southern Arizona alone. Incredible growth. I have seen firsthand the work of welcoming and supporting refugees by congregations like Tanque Verde Lutheran and Lutheran Church of the Foothills, where I was involved and am involved. The families begin their life, their new life, certainly with some anxiety and trepidation. But that quickly gives way to confidence and connections with opportunities. The support and assistance offered by congregations with the coordination of LSS is life-changing for the refugees and those sharing their love and their gifts. The importance of that work has motivated my wife and myself to make LSSW one of the primary charitable contributions that we do each year. I strongly believe in the work that they do with the immigrants, the elderly, and the support they give to a variety of individuals. I know you do too, because you are here and because you love and support LSSW. So it is my privilege to ask you to help us to grow our society. Join my wife and me in becoming members of the Creating Community Society. Creating Community Society members make a 5-year pledge of $1,000 a year to support the greatest needs of the essential programs of Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest. To further inspire you, we are excited to announce generous leadership gifts of $258,000 made by the donors in your event program. We are so thankful for their gifts and the support that they have given us and invite us to join them. Some of you who are here today are current members of the Creating Community Society. We thank you for your steadfast support, and yet we challenge you to increase the amount of your gift or your pledge, or perhaps even paying off the pledge early this year. As I name the 3 levels of the Creating Community Society, You'll see a checkbox that you can use to increase or to extend your pledge. I'd like the table captains to now pass out those giving forms. The Creating Community Society pledge levels are meant to give you a sense of what your contributions can do. Your contribution will go toward the unrestricted operating funds of Lutheran Social Services. The first giving level is Stabilize. It is a pledge of $1,000 each year for 5 years, which is about $83 a month. A gift of this level could support the vital programming of a refugee youth cohort through mentoring and field trips, working to build community and thrive in southern Arizona. The next level of giving is Build, a pledge of $10,000 a year for 5 years. A gift of this level could extend our vital home care, as well as those who need services with disabilities or the elderly. The last level, Preserve, is a pledge of $25,000 a year for 5 years. A gift at this level could build broader foundations for our refugee youth and women to thrive, funding specialized programming for refugees with the greatest needs. For those of you who prefer to give at a different level, is the next section. Please tell us how much you would like to give. You can choose to make a recurring gift or a one-time gift of any amount. If you do your gift and commitment of $1,000 for 5 years, you will become a member of the Creating Community Society. Whatever level of support you can provide, we ask that you make your gift or your first pledge today at this luncheon. And finally, if you would like to make a check of gift to stock or something else, or you simply have some questions or information for us, please check the box. I have other thoughts to share. Someone will follow up with you in a few days. Before we end our program today, let me say on behalf of everyone at LSS, including the refugees, the children, the older adults, and the neighbors we serve every day, thank you. Thank you for coming to listen, to learn, and to contribute your valuable time to be here. We sincerely appreciate all of you and what you do for LSSW. I'll give you some time now to complete your pledge or make your gifts before we return to the program. Thank you again for your support. It means the world throughout the world. Thank you.
Hello once more. How was your journey? However you feel called to share your partnership on the LSS journey will be a blessing. At your seat, you have a small gift from us, some note cards featuring beautiful pictures that Ahmad took in Afghanistan. His contact information is on the back if you want to follow him on Instagram or inquire about your photography needs. I hope that you enjoyed being with us today. Wasn't it inspiring to learn how LSS serves as a life preserver, a travel companion, a reliable rudder, and a firm foundation? LSS brings dignity, respect, and resolution, partnership, and hope to those and lives in crisis and transition. All aboard!